Hey. By this picture, you should be able to tell what we're doing today. We are reading a fanfic. It is Country X Country. It is not Country X Reader. Unless it's male reader. Okay? With that, as you can see, our Ludi here is a submissive. Today, here's our Uke. Let's get started. Here we are. I found my Germancest smut. Let's continue. The worst French laugh you've ever heard. Okay, so here we go. It says Germancest smut by Yowie or GTFO. Whatever that means. It is anime, Hitalia, Access Powers, rated M, English, Germany, Prussia, works 12k plus, faves, hopefully. 63 follows, 16, published December 23rd, 2012. Disclaimer, I do not own Hitalia or any of the characters in any way. The characters in Hitalia belong to... I can't pronounce that, and if I do, I'm not going to make fun of no one, so I'm not going to try. Warning, this is Yaoi Guy X Guy. Not only is it Yaoi, but it's pure smut. There's no plot, just sex. I gave you a warning, so please don't flag me. To those who enjoy Yaoi smut, continue on. I won't do their accents unless it accidentally comes out. So with that said, let's just start. Startio. The room was so dark. The only light to be seen was a small crack at the bottom of the door across the room. It was only enough to see an inch past the crack and emitted absolutely no useful light. It wasn't even enough to see himself. The blonde slouched against a wall opposite of the door. His wrists were bound, his shirt was gone, leaving his torso bare to the harsh, cold room. The only article of clothing left on his figure was his pants, or what he felt left of it. They seemed to be shredded from what he could feel. His body felt numb and weak. Two feelings the toned muscle man wasn't used to. He was numb enough that he couldn't feel any textures. He had no idea where he was or who had brought him here. Had he fallen into an enemy trap? Was it a country ambushed by a rival country? Was this revenge? What form was this country in now? He started checking himself over for any wounds or lacerations. When he found none, he gave a heavy sigh of relief. The country he represented had nothing to do with this present predicament. This wasn't something meant for Germany, but Ludwig, in who the country is represented. The door creaked open. The light poured into the room. The blonde turned his face away to save his eyes from the irritation. When he became used to the light, he gave a true look over his body. His eyebrows furrowed in anger. There were no cuts or wounds like he concluded earlier, but his investigation of his clothes were far off. His shirt was indeed gone, but so were his pants. What he felt was his shredded pants were actually shredded stockings that reached his thighs. Besides the stocking, all he had on was what looked like black leather panties that had opened in the back, showing the back entrance clearly. They were clearly digging into his skin, but he couldn't feel it. Still feel numb? A voice heard from the door. Don't worry, it should wear off in any moment. The voice was raspy, and to Ludwig it was extremely familiar. He only hoped he was wrong when he glanced up towards the door. His eyes adjusted, and he finally got a good look at his captor. He was adorned in tall black leather-heeled boots, navy blue army uniform, a black and silver cross hung around his neck, pale smooth skin, a narcissistic smirk, blood-red eyes, and snow-white hair. The Prussian man bent down to the blonde's eye level. Let's have fun, brother. The German glared at his Albanian brother. He struggled around in the chains that bound his wrists. The metal cut in his skin, but he didn't care. All he wanted to punch his Dunkum smug face. Prussia, what kind of game is this? Release me now, the blonde growled furiously. There was a sudden sharp hit to his cheek. It left a thin red rope, but the German continued to glare at his brother, who held a black leather weapon in his hands. He had winced, but only if you looked extremely closely you could have seen it. Feel anything yet? Prussia sniggered. That the wince of yours tells me yes. Prussia grabbed Germany's hair tightly and lifted his head. He stomped on the blonde's crotch, and the alarmed man gasped in pain. Prussia told this chance and stuck his tongue deep inside the blonde's mouth. Drool dribbled out the side of Germany's mouth. These actions infuriated him, and he bit harshly into the albino's bottom lip. It broke into the skin and it started to bleed. Prussia backed away quickly. He chuckled and pulled on the blonde's locks further. "I'll make sure we both feel much more." The albino then threw Germany to the ground and started to whip his back. The whelps grew in steady numbers. The blonde grunted with each hit. Eventually, one hit made it practically prove his bare arse. Germany, who was on his hands and knees, moaned as he struggled. Prussia bent his knees slightly and rubbed his hard crotch against the German's arse. "You're such a pervert, brother. Getting turned on by the pain I'm inflicting you like you are." He pushed Germany's head against the hard concrete floor and rocked against him again. "I'm so hard for you, brother." Pushed his head on top of his brother's back and whipped his arse one more time. The blonde grunted and moaned. He mumbled softly to himself. This caught Prussia's interest. "What was that?" he purred. Germany remained defiantly silent. Prussia got up and pushed him over. The blonde was moved too far, which caused the shackles around his wrists to dig deeper into his skin. The albino straddled him, seizing all struggles. He leaned forward over the large body beneath him, the zipper of his jacket dangling over Germany's mouth. Silent treatment. "Jaw, I'll make you toxin," he whispered into his ear. And there was a quick zip, and Germany groaned as his cock was released from the tight cage. With the leather panties gone, the blonde could move his legs freely, and so member was easily stroked against the Prussians. "Ah," Prussia groaned with him. "Does it feel good?" Germany just moaned again. Then he felt something tighten around the base of his cock and the tip. He looked down to see albino tire resting around the shaft. "It remains stuck in your ecstasy," Prussia growled dominantly. "Unless you tell me of what you said earlier." Germany just bit his bottom lip and looked away. He wouldn't let his brother break him. Everyone knew of his stubborn German pride and would hold true to no matter what Prussia would do. But the albino was also just as stubborn and knew his brother's limits. You know, those weakened sense of spot chiseling along his blonde's muscles. "I'm gonna go get me a drink. BRB." While the German was looking away, Prussia bit down hard into the skin between the blonde's neck and shoulder. Germany cried out in pain and his body shivered. After he inflicted the damage to his shoulder, Prussia licked the wound, tasting the blonde's blood. He knew, despite the obvious pain that accompanied the bite, his brother had fully felt the ecstasy behind it. A twitch of Germany's bound cock confirmed that. The albino then started to nibble and lick his way down Germany's chest. The blonde arched his back when the albino sucked on his erect nipples. He cursed over the sensitivity of his chest. Prussia continued down. He purposely avoided Germany's cock and kissed around it, licking up his thighs and numbing close to his balls. He stayed within the approximately, but would not give the German what he wanted just yet. Germany groaned in patient complaint to the continuous teasing. He strained against the chains in an attempt to free himself, but with no prevail. He bucked his hips around, trying to guide the Prussian's hot mouth. His wet tongue instead went along its own infuriating path. Germany growled and squeezed his eyes shut tightly as he panted. Those pants hastily changed in a gasp and high-pitched moans as his cock was engulfed. Prussia had done it without hesitation until his nose mused through the blonde's hairs at the base of his large shaft. The albino moan was caused by vibrations that ran along his cock. Germany shuddered as he started to get close, so close to that moment of pure ecstasy. He couldn't reach that point, though, not with his member tied tightly, and not before he got what he truly wanted. But he wouldn't ask for it and would never come even close to beg for it. So he continued the squirm. "Damn it," he growled. Prussia smirked as he glared at his brother's troubled expression. Then he returned to concentrate on Germany's cock. He lipped up the pulsing shaft and sucked roughly on the tip. He repeated his actions, adding little twists and sucks along the way. The blonde cried out. He couldn't take much more. He needed it. He mumbled quietly again. Prussia moved his mouth from the German's member. What was that? He started to kiss up the Germany's chest and rubbed his palm up and down the blonde's legs, getting closer and closer to his inner thigh. Germany groaned loudly. His eyebrows creased in frustration. "More?" he whispered. Prussia hummed, acting as if he heard nothing. The blonde growled, "I can't take it anymore! Give me more, brother!" Prussia chuckled in smug superiority. He lifted Germany's legs over his shoulder and pulled the blonde towards him. He leaned his torso forward so his lips hovered over the German's. Their panting breaths mingled, both pair of eyes half-lidded, staring lustfully into the other pair. Prussia smirked, his teeth ground together, and he whispered above Germany's lips, Hail Deutschland. And without hesitation or restraint, the Albino thrust forward. He pushed into Germany's tight entrance, and both men moaned loudly. The Prussian had entered hard and raw, and it did hurt. Germany could feel the scorching burn travel quickly up his spine, but the insane, complete, and impatiently waited for pleasure surpassed the pain. He clenched his muscles hard into Prussia's cock, which caused the Albino to hiss. "You're always so tight-fist, climbing onto me with no intentions of letting go." The rough, constant speed was intoxicating to the country's representatives. The pain was that the humans, which is very different from which any of them were used to, and was instantly transformed into pleasure. Prussia, with skill and experience, to Germany's prostate did almost practically every thrust. Germany groaned uncomfortably. "Prussia, release me now." Prussia stopped his movements and looked pleased at the German's large red pulsating shaft. It looked painful. Germany was at the edge and couldn't get past it solely because of the string. The Albino started to move hoarsely again. He reached for the end of the string and held it tightly. "Beg for it," he growled at the blonde. "I want you to beg to me." Prussia glared at his brother. It was weaker than his usual one, since he felt like mush under the Prussian's movements. He remained silent for a few moments until Prussia hit his breast again. "Ah! You guys, please, brother, release me, please!" Without slowing his pace, Prussia pulled the string. He was also going to come at any moment, watching Germany frantically lost in the passion of their sex. The buff blonde was usually so stoic and calm. To see the side of him was a thrill within itself. "My God, I'm going to come," the Prussian moaned. Germany looked at his brother's distraught face. He panted heavily to the deep thrust. He clenched his eyes and moaned out to the Albino. "Brother." Clenched thrust, moan. The pleasure of the pain amplitude reached its peak. After a few more thrusts, Prussia came hard into his brother. The latter soon came to, with the feeling of being lifted, their bodies continuing to spasm after their orgasms. For a while they lay in the aftermath of their vicious intercourse, their pants slowed and their hearts continued to race. Germany groaned as Prussia pulled out quickly. He attempted to get up, but was quickly reminded of the shackles that held his wrists. She glared at Prussia. "Prussia," he growled, "release my hands now." Groggily, the Albino obeyed. There was a look of heavy satisfaction on his face as he unchained his German brother. While this was done, Germany's eyes caught the side of the whip Prussia had carelessly tossed to the side. A sadistic smirk appeared on the blonde's lips. Once free, he gripped Prussia's shoulders and pushed the man onto his back. Compared to Germany, the Albino was linked and unable to sit up under the applied pressure. With one hand still on Prussia, Germany grabbed the whip, brought the object to his lips, and licked up the hilt. His saliva covered the leather hilt, and the German never broke eye contact with the Albino. "I'm not satisfied yet, brother." Prussia's eyes widened at the erotic display with the whip. He was so distracted by how coated the whip was with the blonde saliva that he took away the register what he said. His eyes widened further as the whip was slowly lowered between his legs. "Nine!" Prussia cried out. But despite obvious actions, Germany continued. He placed the hilt to Prussia's tight ring of muscles, and the Prussian whimpered helplessly. Then he pushed it in. Prussia cried out in pain. After a couple of thrusts, he felt the sharp tingle. The hilt that had hit a bundle of nerves, and he cried out. Then, without physical or mental preparation, Germany joined the hilt whip. Prussia felt as if he was being ripped apart with both appendages inside him. Germany saw his brother in pain and almost felt regretful. He bent forward and captured the Albino's lips. He reached between them and handled his brother's cock. His distraction numbed the pain, and the constant hit to his prostate made it disappear completely. "You slippery this, Prussian." Germany whispered comfortably and slowly. Prussia moaned loudly as he felt it, but now it was way too slow. "Brother, I'm fine. Please, harder." Germany stared at the Albino hesitantly, but he smiled at his brother and obeyed. After just having an orgasm, the feeling of full ecstasy was still fresh in both minds. It wasn't long before they came. The feeling of feeling full twice was intoxicating the pressure. And Germany soaked in the feeling of being inside such a tight heat or rubbed against the hood of the whip. Again, they came hard together, exhausted. They passed out on top of each other. Well, ow, that hurt. Ow. There is your smut for today. I hope you enjoyed all that good stuff, because I know I sure did. I'll be doing another one soon. Give me requests on your ships. I could actually write fan fictions, which I'm planning on doing soon. So tell me if you guys want another one. I'll see you later. Loved you guys. I loved you. And ciao.